Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about abortions. Very, very touchy subject, so if you're into that sort of thing and you wanted to debate back and forth in the comment section, all that stuff, you're in luck, you've come to the right place. So stay tuned, and here we go. Now, nothing really means what it used to mean. When you really think about it, the two-part system did play a hand in some of this chaos that we're seeing now in 2018. And when we take the extremists out of both sides of both conservative and liberal, we're left with people that are usually willing to compromise back and forth. But we hardly ever see those type of people, unfortunately. The news is always chock full of these crazies on either side, making us both look bad. So when we recategorize these people and look at the mentality of the nation as a whole, you may be surprised in just how much we all have in common. Now, extremists seem to always want the same thing. They want to see the other side crash and burn, and they're willing to do or say just about anything to see that happen. Now, these people quickly lose sight of the other side's basic humanity, and often jump to conclusions that the other person's candidate is like the Antichrist or a monster or something like that. Therefore, anybody that follows that person follows suit. And this is where the extremist mindset comes from. But we all want the same thing when you really think about it, a better world for tomorrow. The question is, how exactly are we going to get there? And that's where the problems lie. So once these extremists are set aside, we have two sets of people that are strong about their opinions, but are willing to negotiate on most issues. So it's with this idea in mind that I have started a series called Dear Mr. President. Basically just a blueprint of what I think, what I would do if I was president. So the question you really have to ask yourself, the person watching this, I'm talking to you, what would you do different? If given the choice to be president, how would you fix these problems? So that's basically the premise for these videos. So for the first episode of this series, we're going to be focusing on abortion. Very hot topic, so let's roll. Now I, like many people that were forced to vote conservative, I'm not exactly 100% pro-life, nor am I 100% pro-choice. So I sort of dabble in the middle and feel it has its place and whatever. And I don't think I'm really the only person that really believes this. I believe that abortion certainly shouldn't be used as a method of birth control. And there are exceptions when it comes to legitimate cases of rape or conditions that guarantee a life of suffering for the mother or the child. And a good number of both moderate conservatives and moderate liberals feel the same way. So what's the big ideal about abortion? Most of the time it comes down to what may render a child as a fully fledged human being rather than an object. So it comes down to timelines, basically. Most conservatives believe that life begins when a heart takes its first beat. They recognize that the heart is the essential organ in which life cannot exist in a human being. Hence, they believe that this is when life truly begins. Now, during the first 2 weeks after pregnancy, you may not be legitimately pregnant, as conception actually occurs 2 weeks from the beginning of the menstrual cycle. Week 3 is when the fertilization begins, and the heart fires up for the first time. So it's important to know that most conservatives support the use of the morning after pill, which terminates the process before the heart begins to beat for the first time. Liberals, for the most part, believe that life doesn't truly begin until the child takes its first breath outside of the womb. Hillary Clinton has been known to support post-birth abortion, and I challenge anyone out there that believes this practice is morally sound to look it up yourself. Fair warning, make sure you eat something because it's coming back up, and those images are going to be burned into the back of your head for the rest of your life. Now, the Obama administration turned abortion into a federal issue, which forced healthcare professionals to perform these types of procedures regardless of moral stance on the issue. Many in the medical field face losing their employment if they refuse to, in their own eyes, murder children, pretty much. Donald Trump changed that law when he was sworn in as president, allowing doctors and nurse practitioners to choose whether or not to perform the procedure at all. Many in the medical field breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that for the first time in a very long time, the government actually had their backs. Many doctors that chose to work in Canada in order to keep the freedom of choice and morality are now moving back to the United States, filling the quota of doctors and nurses that the country had been lacking for the last 8 years. He also left the choice to these professionals whether or not to take part in adolescent sex changes. Keep in mind that many still practice these types of procedures. So Donald Trump hasn't really taken away abortions or sex changes, regardless of how he may personally feel about the procedures. He just left it up to the doctors and nurses to decide, which I believe is fair. Now, liberals for the most part believe that abortion is a matter of women's rights, and will commonly argue that a woman has the right to choose what happens to her body, which no conservative will ever realistically argue. You'll never see a conservative picketing a sex change operation, a tattoo, or a piercing. Conservatives definitely believe that women have the right to choose what happens to their own body, and that's important to note. They simply believe that once the heart starts, it is officially a human being. They see the hypocrisy when a feminist says nobody has the right to decide what happens to another person's body. The common answer being, except for you, of course. You get to decide what happens to other people's bodies. You see the problem here. So as far as abortion is concerned, I believe Trump has the right idea. If healthcare professionals don't see it as murder, then the blood should be on their hands. Yes? As for those healthcare professionals that believe that abortion is murder, they can rest their head at night knowing that they made the right moral decision and they didn't have to kill anybody. So what would I do different? What would you do different? If I were president, I would create an alternative clinic. We'll call this metaphorical clinic Responsible Parenthood. Here, women will receive Pap tests, mammograms, STI tests, pregnancy support, all manner of birth control, including the morning after pill, as well as pregnancy terminations up to the moment the child's heart begins to beat. The program will also offer affordable artificial insemination and accept paid sperm donations. It will also double as an adoption agency, allowing both homosexual and straight couples to adopt children right on the premises, offering affordable adoption and insemination in lieu of agencies that exist to turn a hefty profit. This clinic will also provide vouchers for free diapers, baby food, and clothing for the first year of any birth if the mother is without support or in a low-income situation. All services and products will be offered to the public free of charge, with the exception of adoption and insemination, which will carry some fees, but nowhere near as pricey as current adoption or artificial insemination agencies. The program will also offer services similar to the Big Sister and Big Brother programs, offering children that lack the appropriate role models a volunteer pal to look up to as the child grows into adulthood. Very important. All parenthood issues covered under one roof, free to the public with the notion of raising well-rounded children for a healthy and prosperous future. Not a bad idea if I say so myself. Planned Parenthood would continue to exist and receive funding for similar services, but will not be compensated for abortion procedures after the baby's heart beats for the first time. Now, we're having problems all over when it comes to population control, footprints, and environmental issues, so this would be a good way to help solve some of those problems. The low-income class of society is known for pumping out children they simply can't afford, putting pressure on social assistance and mother's allowance programs that end up costing billions against the country's deficit every single year. So preventing the issue before it begins is the key, and offering free birth control and an array of positive services may in fact play a major hand in solving some of these major issues we now face in society. Considering that the majority of criminals locked up in our penitentiaries come from single-parent households, I think a program like this may in fact help the population as a whole. Shit happens sometimes, and young men and women do make some foolish decisions. So if it was up to me, I would set up a fund to financially assist any mother who decides to donate her child for adoption. This financial support will be offered every few years to ensure the program won't be taken advantage of, but will offer an alternative to abortion if she chooses to keep the baby. So what do you think? Would this type of program benefit the nation as a whole? Perhaps bring together some of the more moderate conservatives and liberals that aren't as extreme as the media might suggest. I want to know your opinion, so please feel free to add to this list, add your opinion, comment, subscribe, do your thing, and make sure you tune in just a few days from now where I will be releasing the second part of the series entitled Gun Control. Very touchy subject. And if you do enjoy the show, please feel free to recommend any topics that you'd like to see me cover. Donate through my Patreon account, or if you feel like getting something back in return other than just more videos, feel free to pick up one of these mugs right here, the Politically Impaired mug. It's on sale right now, so check it out. Link in the description to purchase. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed yourself, I hope you enjoyed the topic, and feel free to comment. Take care, guys.